is the Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 162 of the Pegasus Podcast. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at Bailey J Adams 22, at 5CA Simmons, and at Night Sports Now. We are live here at Nights Out Pub. A great turnout tonight. A great place to watch the game. A great place to watch the game until maybe the last 25 or so minutes of that game. Didn't go UCF's way. Two late touchdowns on both sides. A 44-31 final. Kansas State wins it in UCF's Big 12 opener.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a really good mood until about 30 minutes ago. So, okay, listen, I'm not going to come out and say that because I know that Twitter in particular is in a dark place right now. The worst case scenario for this game was that UCF came out and looked like they can't hang in the Power Five. That was my nightmare scenario, was they're going to come out there in Kansas State. It's going to steamroll them. They can't hang, whatever. It's not what happened. Instead, we watched UCF beat themselves for most of the second half. But that gives me hope for the rest of the season. Like, they're going to beat Baylor. They can beat a lot of teams in the conference.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, I came in tonight, and this is going to sound like wholly awful, but it was like, I didn't expect to win this game from the season. Like, when the schedule came out, didn't expect to win this game. I was pleased with the way they looked for most of the game. And I think outside of not being able to tackle in the second level of the defense, they really handled themselves well. I think it was really frustrating the way that game ended up playing out, but you still head into the next season. You're like, we can hang in this league, and you're like, Baylor's a beatable team. You're coming home to the bounce house. It's going to be full. I don't think this is one that really deters. It's not like a season goes derailed by this game. It's like it was a pretty promising effort, and I think it's just more frustrating because it could have gone the other way.
This is what's funny about how being a fan works, though, is like all week I was like, they're going to lose this game. We predicted on our Monday podcast they're going to lose this game. I'm going in today like they're probably not going to win, and Kansas State's a really good team. Then they're losing, and I'm like, what the hell? Why are they not winning this game?
Devastating.
They play it. I mean, the first half and a lot of the third quarter, listen, you can all track to where it went wrong on the 4th and 2 that they don't go for.
Yeah.
They punt to Kansas State. They get the stop, bad penalty. Kansas State keeps the ball, they score. UCF then gets the ball. They're playing well. They're moving the ball. Weird penalties. Timmy McClain's dance around and lose 12 yards. Felt like where things started to unravel. They get hit with 2 false starts, and that was it. Up until that point, they were playing well. Yeah. They were hanging with the team that won the Big 12 last year.
I think you can track it for Timmy too. It's like he was playing really, really well. I thought, other than the interception, he played a really, really good game. And then when the delay of game happened, then he has the one where he's standing in the pocket for, I think, maybe 13 minutes, and he starts to run away and he doesn't get rid of the ball, and instead he just runs out of bounds. Yeah. It's from that moment on where like it seemed like there was pressure on him every play, and it did not go well after that. And I think, I don't know. I tweeted a little bit of a joke. I was like, it was like punishment from the gods that they didn't go for it on that 4th and 2 when they had a chance. They're right in the game, and then everything goes wrong after that. It's almost justice in a way, but that's just my way of thinking.
And it's tough to try to nail that because I'm trying to look at this through the lens of this is Timmy's second start since 2021. So I'm not going to come up here and be like, why didn't he throw for 9 touchdown passes? Yeah. I mean, it's an adjustment, but my issue is I would like to nail down as far as that drive where things were going wrong, what's on the coaching staff and what's on Timmy. Losing 12 yards and running out of bounds on Timmy. I will put that one there. But the false starts were twice UCF chose to not call a timeout. Yeah. And I'm not sure what the thought process was. Are you saving the timeouts? I don't know. The first one I almost get it. It's like, hey, maybe Gus wants to save a timeout, take the delay of game. Yeah, it's not ideal, but you live, I think it almost not paid off, but it almost didn't matter because I think they converted or got the pass interference down the field after that. But then it was the second delay game when he still didn't call a timeout. It's like, that's where you need to call it because it did not help them down the stretch. Having those extra timeouts, although I guess it did help them put up one more touchdown and make it not look like a 20-point loss. But it was just some weird things happen coaching-wise, some weird things happen on the field, and it's one of those that felt winnable. And it felt like it could have been this monumental night, and instead it's a 13-point loss. And, you feel fine going into next week. You feel fine going forward, but it's like a missed opportunity because it was there. And at the same time, you look at the whole, like, the way the game played out, and it looks like Kansas State did dominate this game. They didn't. It's a weird
scenario.
I have never been happier to see UCF score a garbage touchdown in my entire life than at the end of this game.
Like,
well, it was like a trade because UCF goes for it on 4th and 20 in their own territory,
Yeah.
which you have to do. You play to win the game. And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, they have just gifted Kansas State a touchdown. That's going to make this look like it was not a close game.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was only fair and faith that then UCF gets the touchdown to sort of make the score look. I feel like the score looks representative.
I think so. They don't have it on here. I'm looking at the stats, but up on the broadcast, they put up that I think Kansas State, at the time that I saw this, Kansas State had run 80 plays in the game. They probably were nearing 90 by the end of the game, which, the defense just really couldn't get off the field. They could not stop DJ Giddens. He ran for 207 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was rough to watch because it really was like Will Howard made some plays here and there, but it was DJ Giddens that beat the UCF defense tonight.
Can we take a moment to just like, I don't know if you want to like pour one out or just like say a prayer for Colton Boomer's first ever real missed field goal in a game?
The announcers did that on purpose. That's the classic announcers jinx. It always happens, and I wanted him to beat the announcers jinx for once, but it didn't happen.
I tweeted at the time that I thought it was poetic for Boomer's first real miss to come at the end of the drive. We saw the Timmy play and the false starts. It's like that was just too disjointed. But I guess and we'll see what social media is like because that's a whole different world. But like it's
not a real place.
It's not a real place, and I love it anyway. But my overarching take right now is I don't feel. Let me think of how I'm going to say it. I don't feel worse about the season than I did, but I also feel like I probably had a different take of what the season can be than some fans.
Oh,
like, I was talked to fans who were like, I think they can go 11-1 and win the conference, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Like you're going to have a lot of fun, but I still think UCF can win a lot of games on the schedule, especially since the Big 12 is down. You went on the road to the defending champ, which is a very good team. You played them close the whole way, and at the end of the day, you beat yourself. I know it's frustrating when you beat yourself, but I would rather see UCF commit penalties and make mistakes than see them get run off the field or realize, oh, wow, they did not acquire enough talent to compete at the Power 5 level. They're just not there. That's not what this is. They are there for the most part. There's a couple positions that probably aren't there, but that gives me hope.
Saying all that, there are some reasons to be concerned.
Sure.
I am concerned with the defense. I think the defense, it was really, if the defensive line didn't stop DJ Giddens, he was going to get 10 to 15 yards almost every time. He averaged like 6 yards per carry. There were times where the defense stopped him right at the line, but if that didn't happen, linebackers weren't getting them, secondary wasn't getting them.
Yeah.
And I am concerned with that. I was saying this is the first real offense they've seen this year.
Wow.
And
no respect for the Smurf territory.
No, Boise State's offense was not good, and it showed. But I don't know.
Can I throw a bone to the defense?
I guess.
John Walker looked really good.
John Walker looked
which
great.
is exciting since he's 4 games into college. They were without Ricky Barber for most of the game.
Yeah.
Corey Thornton exited. DeJordan exited. So that wasn't defense at full strength. Now that also wasn't Kansas State at full strength either. But
Yeah.
So I don't know. I agree with you. There's concerns on the defense, but I didn't come away from this game like, wow, I think every Big 12 team is going to score 50 points on UCF. They've got something there. Now, O-line probably needs to be reshuffled again. So
That's the thing. So we should talk about that. It was reshuffled to start this game. We saw it was Caden Kittler who got the start at center in place of Drake Metcalf. It was Marcellus Marshall moving to left guard, I think, and then coming in at tackle was Amari Kite.
Mhm.
And so just a completely different offensive line than what we've seen in the first 3 weeks. And I think they're still trying to tweak it. They're still trying to figure it out. Might still need some tweaking after this one because Timmy was running for his life a lot. And RJ Harvey, Johnny Richardson found a lot of space. RJ Harvey wasn't finding any space. There was nowhere for him to run.
So let's talk about Timmy a little more because what is this podcast for? Not to just focus on quarterbacks way more than we should.
Quarterback podcast.
You talked about how he was running for his life. There were things about Timmy tonight that encouraged me. Like I think that was another thing we saw from tonight because Villanova game, we didn't come away with anything from that.
No.
And we talked about that at the time. I know a lot of people were like, wow, he looked amazing. You just can't tell anything from an FCS game. I understand there were some bad plays. I understand that the losing 12 yards was bad, but he showed me enough tonight for me to say that this is not a guy who UCF is not going to be able to win games until JRP gets back. He can do enough. His deep ball is insane.
Oh, it's really good.
I think it's the best we've seen since Gabriel. I don't think Mikey or JRP had anything like that in there.
His arm is fantastic. His decision-making leaves some to be desired, but that's to be expected. He played his true freshman season and at a bad program.
Yeah.
Played there. He doesn't play at all last year. And then he first start back is against Villanova and he looks good, but it's Villanova.
Yeah.
And so it's tough. It's a tough spot for him to be in. And I think you see that there's something there. You can tell there's something there with him. 3 touchdown passes, 264 yards. I think early on it looked like they were almost babying him a little bit, where it was just like he had like 8 pass attempts, and like by the second quarter, it was like I think he had hit on 5 or 6 of them.
There was a point where a third of his completions were touchdowns.
Yeah,
through 6 passes, for touchdowns.
And it was a little bit weird, but I think as the game went on, it almost felt like some of those late issues or those late mistakes kind of flustered her a little bit. Might have flustered the whole offense the way everything was running because it was not running smooth after that. I don't think really, I don't know. It's weird to say because I don't know if the offense was really running that smooth at any point, but they were hitting on some big plays. Like they would go backwards a little bit, but they'd hit on some big plays. And a lot of that was Kobe Hudson down the field. And then Townsend had some big plays. Richardson, I was still kind of feeling down toward the end of the third quarter. But then when they opened the fourth quarter on 3rd and 21 with a delayed handoff to Johnny Richardson and he gets a first down, I'm like, all right, something magical can happen now. And then it didn't, but it was nice to dream.
Is this like a hot take that's going to get me in trouble if I say that? Is Kobe Hudson better than Javon Baker?
I don't know. I see a lot of that right now on social media, and I don't really care. Like they're both UCF receivers, so I don't really care about the debate of like who's better because it's like I would prefer for both of them to look good. I saw some of that going on during the game and was like, it's time to have this conversation. I was like,
that's a good point. Like there's nothing to be gained from this conversation. It's not, there's also no official, like Gus isn't going to sit them down and be like, guys, we've talked about it and we've decided we like Kobe more. It's like, great, you're both still going to be out there every play, but we just want you to know that you personally, we prefer. So, I mean, okay, I'm going to say something cocky. I think they're going to be Baylor, and I don't think it's going to be particularly difficult. Baylor's been terrible 4 games into the season now. Texas just destroyed them tonight. They lost to Texas State. They briefly struggled with Long Island University, which it turns out is a school. So I have a hard time. And the bounce house is going to be rocking. It's probably going to be the best atmosphere we've seen since the college game day game in 2018. So I would be stunned if they lose that game. You win that game, you're 4-1 going to Kansas, which will be tough in Oklahoma. But we talked about how for year 1 in the Big 12, you want to have that. You want to see if you can do 7-5 or 8-4. They can. And I think they proved that tonight. They can compete in this league. I mean, they did not go out there and look like they weren't prepared or they weren't ready or they don't have the personnel. That's not what happened today.
And I know we're diving into like the type of loss, and I know it's not always fun to do that, but when you look at it, you do a direct comparison. I know is Oklahoma better than Kansas State? I'm not ready to say that. I think Kansas State might be up there.
If you're part of the Stars Matter crowd, then absolutely. I don't know. I think Kansas State. I mean,
but I'm just thinking when you like compare, and we don't have to do the whole compare. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but you think about like Cincinnati went out there and scored 6 points, and they didn't really look particularly competitive. Their defense looked pretty decent. Didn't look super competitive.
Emory Jones being your QB.
UCF legitimately had a chance to win this game, and so it's like you kind of come away feeling better about what you can do, and none of it's what you're going to take away long term from one game. But you do feel better about the rest of the season. You kind of like, all right, we have something to build on from this game. Don't turn the ball over in key situations, and don't take stupid penalties. And then you really, really have a chance to win in the last few minutes of that game.
You see, like I said, it's the thing is, I feel like a lot of UCF fans thought UCF was going to lose this game. And the thing is, it's a lot more palatable to talk in the week leading up to a game of, I understand my team is probably going to lose, versus experiencing the loss because you're just sitting there and you want to bang your head against the table as UCF commits a false start or holding or whatever. And it's why I'm not freaked out. And because you look at it, and I know we've said this, but it really was those 2 drives. It was the defensive drive and the offensive drive. Those were the only moments that UCF really lost the game on. Up until that point, they were more than competing. They almost took the reins of the game at one point. And it's on the road. It's a tough environment. It's a good team. I'm not in panic, press the panic button, freak out, everything is lost mode. I don't feel any different than what I thought the season was going to be. And that's given that JRP's out and you're now the backup quarterback, which is not what we thought was going to be a thing until a couple weeks ago. So.
And that's the spot. I mean, there were other spots like early in the game and even by halftime, UCF was down by 4. And I thought, wow, they kind of are lucky to be down by 4. They could, they could have been down by worse. They had RJ Harvey fumbled. Timmy threw a bad pick right before halftime where Kansas State drove down right after that and looked like they were going to take a bigger lead, and they had the field goal go off the post. So it could have been worse in the first half. This could have been a worse game, but then there was the fact that it wasn't. Like you were in the game, and that's where you can feel pretty confident about this. It's a tough atmosphere to play in your first Big 12 game. So I
don't mean to like keep going back to like let's talk about ways the coaching staff didn't do a good job, but I have one more coaching staff complaint.
That's fine.
It is game 4. We are a third of the way through the season. They are still trying to get RJ Harvey to throw the ball, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, it is tough.
I've tried it 5 times now, and the play has never worked. I don't get it.
But that one time it works, it's gonna be so sick.
It's not gonna work. It's never going
to happen. It's gonna happen once.
I want to know which way is it. Like, are they like in the coaching room and they're just like, listen, like we have to like get this to work. Like it'll be so cool. Is RJ like I was a quarterback in high school? Let me unport this. I don't know. I don't get it.
When does it stop? Does it stop when it works? It works one time and they stop.
That would be the funniest possible way, I think, is that if they try after like they tried it 9 more times and it hasn't worked, the 10th time when it does work, they're like, we did it, we're done. Never again.
It'd be ridiculous.
I don't know what that's about, but
RJ Harvey had a weird game.
He did have a weird game. I'm
He
looking at his stats.
He scored UCF's first Big 12 touchdown. I think it was a 27-yard touchdown catch on a beautiful. Just early on, I was like, Timmy looks so composed. It was a third down, and against the blitz, he throws a perfect screen to RJ, who takes it the rest of the way. 2 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown, and then he ran 2.8 yards per carry. Not what we're used to seeing from him at all.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, some of it was just the type of game it was, and I think Johnny found more space. Johnny's quickness really worked to his advantage. He had 76 yards on 6 carries. And I don't know, you look at that and you're like, should he have gotten the ball more than 6 times? But it's also, they picked their spots with him. He also had a long kickoff return after halftime.
I think that's a little bit of like hindsight being 2020.
Yeah,
it's
no,
easy
it is.
after the game's over to be like, well, why wasn't? I mean, there was no point in the game where I was sitting there like, man, I thought UCF would be winning if RJ Harvey was getting more touches. I think there were points where I thought UCF would be winning if they weren't committing multiple false starts or if they were getting called for holding and roughing the passer and et cetera. I mean, it's like we can go 20 rounds or however long we want on what went wrong, what didn't work. At the end of the day, if UCF didn't get called for and commit a bunch of penalties, they would have won the game. It's as simple as that.
You know what's bizarre is they got called for 10 penalties for 80 yards. None of that happened in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That all happened in the last 3 quarters. I would say most of it happened in the third and fourth quarters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember too many in the second quarter. So it was really a second half issue. And it's so frustrating when stuff like that happens. And I don't really know what you chalk that up to. Is it coaching or is it's a lack of discipline on the whole team, and I don't know who you want to pin.
I know that he played against Villanova last week, but switching quarterbacks mid-season, there's no easy way to do that, and there's going to be miscommunications. It was what I went back to with the false starts in particular is I don't buy the philosophy of you want to save these for the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's like you're losing yards now on key plays. You need to use the timeouts there. Whatever. That's a decision, but.
Those are frustrating. It's less. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's less of those. Those are frustrating, but it's the third down stop. Tremont Morris crash unnecessarily touched. But I know people were like complaining about the call. I think it was the right call. Even if it wasn't the right call, he put himself in a bad position there with by putting his hands on the quarterback late. Didn't need it at all. There were just certain things like that happened. I don't know. It's frustrating because you dissect them individually, and it's like, a lot of these are preventable and shouldn't happen, and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean but like I said, people are gonna disagree. I get it. I would rather have me sitting here now and saying, gosh, I really wish that UCF knew how to not commit penalties on every play versus saying, gosh, I wish UCF had players that weren't bad. It's like they have good players, they have good talent. I'm not freaked out. I'm relaxed. Can't you tell? I'm so fine with this result.
It sounds like a lot of coping's going on right now, but
yes, I am coping, but also I'm fine.
Yeah,
I nothing's changed about what I thought the season was going to be.
No.
I think that this game was always a stretch goal. I
honestly will give you my biggest concern. It's not even really on the defensive line. It's more so the offensive line, and UCF just needs to get better in the trenches as a whole. Right. But the defensive line did pretty well against the run. I mean, you're not going to see that from the stats, but I thought a lot of the time the defensive line was solid. I don't think they got up to the quarterback very well, and I think we've seen that through the first 4 games against some lesser opponents. They haven't rushed the quarterback very well, and that's going to hurt you because you're putting more stress on your secondary, which already isn't that great to begin with. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not going to extrapolate out the offensive line and defensive line for like all Power 5 games. Like I'm not going to say, wow, they can't. I mean, it's like Kansas State's a really good, really physical, really big team.
I can see this being a problem all year, and I don't think where they can. Well, they're going to have to recruit there, and that's where priority 1 is going to be. I know they have some playmakers coming in. They've got to recruit in the trenches because that's how you win.
Here's what we're going to do. We haven't done this in a while. I'm going to give you UCF schedule, and you're going to hit me with win or loss.
Oh, we're not doing this.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Okay. Well,
you hate doing this on the regular podcast, so I'm like, why not? Yeah. People. Okay, so UCF is now 3-1. Great record. The fan base is very pleased. No one's upset. And all right, they've got Baylor at home. Win or lose.
I think they win that game.
All right, they're 4-1. They're receiving votes, I think. All right, on the road at Kansas.
I think they win that game tentatively. I don't know. Kansas scares me more than I thought they would.
5-1. UCF's now ranked 13th in the nation.
That's ridiculous.
Power 5 bias. All right, at Oklahoma.
Loss.
Ooh, really? To Dylan Gabriel?
Yes, to Dylan Gabriel.
Okay,
5-2. If it was at UCF, I think they would be. I honestly might think they'd win that game if it was at UCF.
I do like UCF.
That's a different discussion.
UCF just lost to Kansas State, and I'm like, you think they would lose to Oklahoma? But okay, 5-2. West Virginia at home for homecoming.
Home. I mean, win. Yeah.
6-2. All right, at Cincinnati.
I don't like this because I'm getting to a better record than I think they should.
On the road at Cincinnati. Emory Jones, they're going to win.
Emory Jones is bad.
Oklahoma State plays 3 quarterbacks every game, win or loss.
Win. This is bad. No, this isn't happening. This isn't happening.
At Texas Tech, they just lost the quarterback.
They're losing. I don't
They
care.
don't have the quarterback.
I don't care.
Okay.
Neither is well, I guess UCF will by then, maybe.
So, and you have them beating Houston, I assume.
Yeah, that's not happening.
You have them at 8-4.
They're not going 8-4.
Sure they are.
Sure. I mean, they can.
Bailey Adams predicts live that UCF is going to go 8-4 in the 2023 season. I can see that. There's nothing you said there where I'm like, I don't agree with that at all.
But I can also see a lot of those games flipping the other way. Not about a lot. I can see some of those games. I can see Kansas flipping the other way.
I think the home games are going to be a lot easier than the road games. I don't think that a lot of the problems that emerged tonight would have emerged if this was a home game. I don't think that UCF's getting called for multiple false starts. I just even the defense and the way they
false start. You say false starts. It's delay a game, right?
delay of game. I've been saying false start the entire podcast,
Yeah.
and I've meant delay of game the entire time.
It happens.
Wow, but I like you let me do it like 12 times.
Well, no, the second time I did correct you, but
I've meant delay of game. I
Yeah.
have not meant false start. I don't think they false started once the whole night. It's been
I don't know if they did.
so,
But yeah, no, I don't think they take the delay game penalties at home. Yeah, it is, and I think that they do get easier opponents at home. And we're saying all this right now, and they could go out and lose next week. I just don't think it's going to happen. I feel good about it.
Setting ourselves up for like colossal.
So that's what this podcast is about. We say things, and then they don't come true, and then we just kind of, oh yeah. Well,
The first
How-
UCF home game where UCF is a Power 5 team playing a Power 5 conference game, that's something that the fan base has been like, that's literally been talking about for my entire life.
Yeah.
And especially in the last decade plus, as UCF's gotten really good, it's been something we've dreamt about. Can you imagine? So regardless of what happened tonight, that moment is going to be huge. The crowd is going to be insane. We already know it's a sellout. It's a 3:30
it's been a
game.
sellout since like June.
It's going to be going nuts. Baylor's not going to be able to hear a thing. And I feel that way regardless of the fact that Baylor's also not good at football this year. So you throw that in, and I'm feeling confident.
Yeah.
I feel good about that game.
Yeah, no, I feel good. I mean, is there anything else that we really want to get to?
Yeah, I thought the uniforms looked really good. And
We
I don't
have
want
to.
and we have to do this. We have to talk about uniforms. I also want to be clear that there's this thing that fans do where they like or don't like uniforms based on whether the team won the game. I think that's sport forward. I think we can acknowledge that the Oreo combo was fantastic. The first time UCF scored this. Like, great uniform combo. I hope to see them use it again and not lose in a future game.
I hope so. Is that it? I think that'd be it.
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I have nothing else. I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm in a really I feel like I put on a good front. I'm in a really sad mood.
Honestly, yeah, we put on a happy face.
Yeah.
I think if that last touchdown doesn't happen,
Yep.
I'm feeling so much worse right now. It's such a dumb thing. Like they lose by 13. I'm like, all right, yeah, there's some stuff to work on. Even though we said the same thing though. It was like when Will Howard scored a touchdown, I was like, this wasn't a 20-point loss.
It's a trade. Yeah.
And then it does feel like awful that they called a timeout and had to run it. You did mention to me right before we got on the podcast, we can't make fun of SMU for doing that last year now. So
If you weren't listening to us last year, I relentlessly made fun of SMU because at the end of the 2022 game, they were like calling timeouts and getting lined up. They were like, we got to get this last touchdown. And I'm like, this is sad, ridiculous. Now tonight, UCF's doing it. And I'm like, yeah.
I think we both cheered way too much. We cheered a lot more than we
At
could
the
have.
end
But
of the day, that's how a lot of casual fans consume college football is they're going to see a box score, they're going to see a final score, and you see what would the score have been if they didn't score it? 44-24.
yeah,
The difference between 44-24 and 44-31 is dramatic, man.
it's technically 7 points, but yeah.
44-24 is UCF can't hang and they should have stayed in the G5. 44-34 is it's a build on there. They've got a bright season ahead.
I'm glad they scored over 30. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've covered it mostly here, and I think the vibes they could have been better, but I think the vibes are in a good spot right now. We're going into a home game against Baylor next week.
I have strong vibes. 4-1 is coming up, so
Feels good. Yeah, it feels good. But yeah, we want to thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody for sticking around here at Nights Out Pub. It's been a great place to watch a game. I mean, come out.
I had
Come
such
out
a
here.
fun
Yeah,
time here.
it's a great time. Great atmosphere. A lot of UCF fans. So much fun to be here.
I had the nitro, so I supported the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm helping UCF get great players. It was Norton's.
Support the Kingdom. Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. We want to thank them for having us, and thank you guys for watching. We will be back early next week with episode 163, breaking down some more of this game and talking about the Baylor game coming up. But until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @CA Simmons, and at Night Sports Now. Thank you guys so much for being with us, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.